But anyway, so they go to a diner somewhere in Alaska, but there's a bullyish trucker who challenges. Well, he flirts with Lois first, and then Clark comes out of the bathroom and goes, "Sir, I believe you're sitting in my seat." And he's like, "Yeah, well, it doesn't look like your seat to me." And then Clark, pretty cockily, I mean, doesn't he realize what's happened? But he goes, "I think someone should teach you some manners." And then essentially is a scene where, and it's very effective.
It's great.
Doesn't matter what version you watch, where Superman gets beat to shit by just some jerk trucker, and the scene where he just sits there going, "That's my blood." He's like, "Oh my God, that's my blood."
Clark?
Blood. It's my blood.
And that's such a great touch to put that in the dialogue. Yeah.
He is at his most vulnerable. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And, and she's worried about him. He's like going, "I think you ought to maybe hire yourself a bodyguard from now on." He's like, "Because I can't do it."
Yeah, he's just totally crumbling.
And it's very human. It's very good.
And I like that beat too. I mean, that moment too, where he doesn't have any idea how to fight for real because he's never had to take a punch.
Right.
He doesn't know what it feels like. He has no idea. And the guy's just barely just elbows him. He's like,
it's probably the most pain he's felt in his entire life.
Yeah.
Because in the movie version, he seems to be pretty much fully powered up even as a baby.
Yeah.
So this isn't something where the powers came on. They were just already there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like going, "Oh, that's pain. Yeah, I don't like it."
Yeah. And I love that. He just,
"Oh, and the red stuff comes out of you. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't like that either."
he didn't have any idea that was going to happen to him.
Nope. And then to make matters even worse, while he's laying there in defeat is when they turn on the TV in the diner.
Come and kneel before Zod!
When Clark sees the news report of what's going on, and he's still kind of dazed, and I love his reaction. He says it so quickly because he's like, wow. He just had the shit kicked out of him, and now he's like, "What am I seeing now, Zod?"
Yeah.
And I love the moment where he sees him. He already knows who he is because obviously his dad told him all this stuff years ago, right? And I love that moment. He's like, "Zod."
He also saw the opening of Superman 2, which shows all of it.
Your ass!
But the diner guy says, he turns the TV off.
Zod!
And Clark looks at him and goes, "Here, when?"
Here, when?
Just totally befuddled and like, "Where have you been, Mac?"
And he goes, "Where you been? You been sleeping under a rock or something?"
Desert Island. And his immediate reaction was like, yeah, I have.
He
I
literally turns to the love of his life, who he gave up all the stuff for, and this is it. He has probably been human maybe a couple of days for the travel.
At most, right.
But he's like going, "I have to go back." And she's like, "You can't. I mean, I was there. I heard it."
I have to.
He goes, "I have to. I've got to find a way."
Because he has to walk all the way back to the fortress by, as a human.
As a mortal man. And he's out there freezing to death.
But I love that moment. We mentioned this moment in one of our early episodes too. I love that moment where he says, "I have to." And she says, "Well, you didn't know. It's not your fault." And he says, "He knew." And in the Lester cut, he says, "They knew."
They knew.
Referring to his parents. In the Donner cut, it's he knew, meaning my father. I just didn't listen.
I love
God, I love that moment. I love that moment.
I mean, again, there is built into both of the scripts, because they are of a piece, that father-son dynamic, and of course that also equals God and Jesus.
Yeah.
Because they are leaning heavily on the mythology of it, which is that bit from the Donner cut that we do see when he gets his powers back. And it is much more effective.
Look at me, Kal-El.
And it's, I believe, the only scene that Christopher Reeve and Marlon Brando shot together.
Yeah, really early on, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, he walks towards him, puts his hand on his shoulder, and essentially there's a power transfer.
With a David Byrne impersonation.
Yeah, he does. He did say, "This is not my beautiful fortress."
Yeah.